Hello, beautiful beings. I want to tell you about the dreams I've been having. Night before last, well, for a while now, I've been having really bad dreams, and they're repetitive. They go all night long about the same things, and it's scary things. So, night before last, well, my last video is addiction and entities. And so that night, I dreamt that I was slaying entities in my dream. They were people, and I was literally stabbing them with a sword. And I could even feel the feeling of pulling it out of their bodies. The last one I slayed was on fire, and I was pulling the sword out, and he crumpled down along this wall, and he wouldn't die. He just kept twitching. And I was really, really scared in my dream. I'm not religious at all. I have never practiced any religion. But in my dream, I said, Jesus, please protect me from any of these demons. And all of a sudden, he appeared. Probably, I don't know if this is exactly what Jesus looks like. I have no idea. But in my dream, he had like a white robe made out of like burlap material. I don't know what that material is. Like an off-white robe, and with the long sleeves that hang down, off your arm a ways. And he had this staff, and he took it like this and hit it on the ground, and this shock wave of light went out and obliterated all the bad. It was absolutely amazing. I can see it so well right now. And I was completely at peace in my dream and not scared anymore. I knew that he had saved me. Throughout my life, when I've been in deep distress, I have called out to Jesus to help me. And it's unmistakable, the help that I've gotten. Absolutely unmistakable. So last night before I went to bed, I didn't know if it's too trivial to ask, but I did anyway. They're saying that nothing is too trivial to ask if it's bothering me. Ask for help with. So last night before I went to sleep, I said, Jesus, can you please help me have better dreams? Well, he certainly did, because last night I was operating a front end loader, which I have in my life. I have operated heavy equipment. And it sure was fun. It's like big Tonka trucks. I was operating a front end loader, and there was snow on the ground, and I was trying to figure out how to get it down the road, like over this bank and down the road. And that was my car. Anyway, I was in my car at first, and then I was in a front end loader, and I had this work I needed to do in this shop. And then all of a sudden I wasn't there anymore. I was standing in front of a Japanese woman, and she was trying to teach me how to do something. And I was kind of annoyed because I already knew how to do everything that she was telling me, but she was acting like I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I said, my mom taught me that when I was a little kid. And she turned around and she got in this fighting stance. And we started doing this jujitsu stuff and fought and fought and fought. And I knew exactly what I was doing. And I overcame her in my dream. And there was a woman standing in front of like this armoire, and she opened the doors up, and that woman got in there and in like behind the clothes. And when I looked over to my right, there was a man standing a ways away, and he nodded his head at me. He was Japanese also. And and then all of a sudden I was in a room with Mooji. Other people also, but there was Mooji. and he was waiting for me to get my stuff done. And he said about the fight that I just had. He said, "How did you do that?" I said, "Oh, it was easy." And we laughed about it. And I wanted to tell him how much I love him, and thank you so much for helping me wake up when you came into my life on YouTube. But I had stuff to do, and I could feel from him that he wasn't in a hurry at all, that he could see me, absolutely 100% see me, and not just in the physical, but he could see me. He could see my soul and my purpose on the planet. And yeah, so I went about my business and started doing these other things, and then I woke up. In real life, I woke up and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that's wow. What an amazing dream. Oh my gosh." It's like I was really there with him, like Mooji was really with me. And I went to the bathroom and I laid down. I was just like, I really wish that I could keep dreaming that. Oh, I really, really wish I could. And I did. Oh my gosh, you can't make that happen. Absolutely not. But when I went back to sleep, I basically picked up where I left off. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but it was all in preparation to be able to go with Muji. And there he was again. And I was just so happy that he hadn't left. And he's just like, "No, I'm waiting for you. I'm not going anywhere." And just the love that was emanating from him. And I hugged him and I started kissing his face and his eyes, and like telepathically thanking him so much for coming into my life at just such a horribly low place in my life. You know, when a person feels desperate, like there's just no space left, that is a very auspicious time, because the mind is at its weakest at that point. And so then, I have, throughout my life, at my worst times, I have always been sent somebody to help me, whether it's a book or a person, or some just something somebody says on the radio, or a certain song. Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So desperation isn't really a bad thing. It's a divine gift, they're saying. So I've just had the feeling all day of being with Muji. And when I woke up with Muji May 6th, 2013, I was married at the time. I'd been married for 10 months, and uh, I was absolutely miserable. And this person was working in North Dakota at the time, gone for a couple weeks and then back for a couple weeks, which was such a saving grace for me not to be around him 24/7. But he was coming back in a couple days, and I was just at my lowest. I looked very, very old at that time also. It was like my soul was dry, and I was very soul sick. So I woke up that morning just incredibly depressed, living in a little trailer house that was haunted. There was a spirit downstairs that had like a checkered shirt and suspenders or overalls on. Overalls or suspenders, I can't remember, but I knew the place was haunted, and I felt like the man I was married to was not good. Not good at all. I felt like he had been hiding the fact that he had a temper, because shortly before that time that I'm talking about, when I woke up with Muji, I had a German Shepherd named Chloe, and we had been running around town and forgot some things, and he said, "Let's just leave her in the yard." It was only a 4-foot fence, but she had never jumped over it before. But my intuition was screaming at me not to leave her in that fence by herself. But that was during the time where I didn't listen to my intuition very well. I was still really learning to do that. And I lost another dog that way too. A man telling me it would be fine to leave him out, and I said, "No, he's going to get run over if we leave him out," and he did. Those are very painful lessons, but they are very potent for me learning how to trust my intuition more than what's coming out of somebody's mouth. So we left Chloe in the yard, and I had gotten her one of those really big bones, and I left it in the yard with her, and I laid on top of her and hugged her and told her I loved her, and it was like I knew what something was gonna bad was going to happen. Now there's no way I would ever do that. I'd be like, no way, man, I'm putting her in the house. I wouldn't even hesitate. So thank God I don't ever have to lose another animal, or, even worse than that, by not trusting my intuition. So yeah, sure enough, when we got home, she wasn't in the yard, and I found her across the highway in the ditch. And she died for me because I was still not trusting my intuition that this person had a temper and that he was dark. And because he was very good at acting normal, but I felt otherwise. And so I found her, and I was laying on top of her in the ditch, just inconsolable. And he was jerking on my coat. He was yanking on my coat, and I didn't understand why he was trying to get me off of her. And I heard, and they moved my head as I was hearing it. They said, and Chloe said, "Look up." And I looked up at him, and he was angry. And he was looking around to see who was seeing what was going on. All he cared about I'm sorry, what other people were thinking about the situation and how embarrassed he was. And I said, "Are you mad right now?" And he was gritting his teeth at me, and he was clenching his jaw, and he was just like, "Come on, get up." And my stomach hurt, and I knew that my suspicions about him were indeed true, that he did have a temper, and it was just a matter of time until he hurt me. And so that's who I was married to at the time. And it was about a week after that, he was gone to North Dakota, and I was just jam packed in my body. I felt so claustrophobic. I had realized just a couple days before that, walking down the hall, that replacing bad thoughts with good thoughts would never keep me from going into what I used to call mental spin out. And it dropped me to my knees. I was devastated. I was just like, it's true. That is not going to solve it. And I laid there on the floor in the fetal position in that crappy, disgusting trailer house. It was bad. The energy there was so bad. And I just had run out of room in myself. I felt more desperation at that time than I ever had in my life, and that's a huge statement. I didn't feel like I had my children all had their own families, all that stuff. I just felt like I really didn't have a purpose. And so 2 days went by, and on the second morning of that realization, I woke up and I just felt just just numb. And I went to listen to, I brought up, I typed in Abraham Hicks on my phone because I'd been listening to Abraham Hicks for a long time. She had helped me so much. It's Esther Hicks, and she channels Abraham, and nothing to do with the Bible. And when I did, I saw two of the Abraham Hicks boxes on top, and then two on bottom. And then in the middle of that, after like 4.5 years of listening to Abraham, this had never happened. Nobody else came up with Abraham Hicks except Mooji was in the center of those four boxes. And he had this cobalt blue jacket on, and his head was back, and his arms were out. I was just like, oh my God, that's my new teacher. Like, I absolutely knew. And I touched that video, and I was just riveted on it, like my life depended on it, which it did. And and I don't remember what that video said, what he said. It was just a few minute long video. And I was feeling different. I didn't understand how I was feeling, but I knew I was feeling different. And so I jumped up out of bed and grabbed my laptop and ran into the living room and set it on the coffee table and got Mooji up there. And I hit the very first video that came up. And it was this man holding a microphone really close to his mouth, and they were laughing. And well, I mean, they said a few things before that, but then they were laughing, and I was feeling incredibly hot all of a sudden, and annoyed and angry, but I was laughing too at what they were saying. And then all of a sudden Mooji said, "You better not tell your boss you don't don't exist, or your wages won't exist." And right at that second, this man woke up. And I did too. And I could not stop laughing. I was crying and laughing, and I felt so angry, and I felt so hot, and I just felt everything. And then all of a sudden, my mind was gone. Absolute quiet. And I was realizing, even without a mind, I was realizing that the persona, I never was the persona. Not really. Never. I was back in my natural state of being, of presence. Absolutely amazing. So having Mooji come to me in my dream last night, I've never dreamt about Mooji. This is my first time, and I woke up with him a little over 11 years ago now. And so the Lionsgate portal was yesterday, and I feel like I left so much in it. I feel like when there's a portal, there's been other portals also besides the ones that I've heard about that are coming from astrologers. I've just seen other. They're like a light a light cloudy blue. It's the best way I can describe it, and it's when nothing other than who I'm meant to be will fit through this portal, and huge layers of who I'm not are getting scraped off as I'm going through this portal. And I was told to set an intention for this Lionsgate portal, and my intention was to, of course, be my authentic self on the planet, but also to be able to see my YouTube channel, my videos, everything like how the divine wants me to see it, not from a personal identity at all. And to drop any of the desire for a mate, that isn't necessary at all. If the divine wants me to have a desire for a mate, then it's not going to hurt at all. It's not going to feel like an unfulfilled desire or an unfulfilled need. I left that hopefully in the through the Lionsgate portal too, and I can still feel my arms around Mooji and just the unconditional love from him. And that's how it felt with Jesus too in my dream 2 nights ago, was just this absolute unconditional love. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing. Don't ever give up. I know it may be it is. This ascension on planet Earth, not even just the ascension, but just life on planet Earth it can be absolutely brutal. But I just feel like if we don't give up, then if I don't give up, and what does giving up look like? Giving up looks like, drinking again, or killing myself at some point in my life when my mind was super insane. I had thoughts of suicide every single day of my life, but I wasn't going to do it because I would never leave my children like that. So I'm just deeply grateful that I haven't given up, because things always get better, no matter how dark it seems. And there is a lot of darkness shedding who we're not. It gets incredibly dark, but there are healers on the planet that are here to help shine a light on what's going on in your life and help you through those things. And that's my purpose on the planet, is to help people ascend and to help them get through the dark nights. The dark night of the soul doesn't necessarily have to be at night, does it? So I think that's it for now. SotsongWithMamaG@gmail.com. You can leave me a question for the ancients in the comment section, or a nice comment. Love you so much.